Good morning and welcome to the Midweek Mini. I hope your week is going well so far. So, just a quick personal update before we get this episode started. Alex, as you know, graduated from high school last month, and his plans, according to him, was to chill a little while and then figure it out. Yep, he actually told my cousin that. So impressive. But anyway, I guess he chilled a lot less than he was planning on because Monday he started his job. Uh, I wasn't in a big hurry to make him make a decision about, you know, what to do with his life because, of course he's not gonna live in the basement forever, but you know, adult life is hard enough without having to rush into it. So, I was just trying to give him some time. But anyway, so Monday he started a job. He's working at the same office that my daughter is working at. So we'll see how that goes with those two working together. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that with you. Now he's still going to be on the show when his time allows. But I'm very happy for him, to have gotten a job so quickly after high school. And I wish him the best. Okay, so anyway, we'll move on. So today we're talking about the Sherman Ranch. And you've heard of it, right? Maybe not by that name. What if I called it the Skinwalker Ranch? Does that ring a bell? I thought maybe so. But if it still doesn't seem familiar, don't fret because that's what we're talking about today on today's Midweek Mini.
Triple M Studios proudly presents Midweek Minis, and here's your host, Andrea Lee.
Had to do a little bit of mood music. Alright, well, way back in the 1990s, Terry Sherman and his wife Gwen told the story of their experiences on a 512-acre ranch to a reporter. They had moved onto the ranch with their kids, and 18 months later, Mr. Sherman put the ranch up for sale because of some things they had witnessed. The family had witnessed several paranormal events that had them packing their bags and moving. And like I said, it was only 18 months after they moved in. The Shermans had seen mysterious crop circles, UFOs, and the repeated mutilation of their cows. 3 weeks after the Sherman story was published, a Las Vegas real estate tycoon and UFO enthusiast by the name of Robert Bigelow bought the property for $200,000. Now, some paranormal events were witnessed on the ranch by Bigelow and his researchers that he had brought there, but they were never able to collect any meaningful solid evidence of that activity. So then he turned around and he sold the ranch to another real estate company. Now, it's common knowledge that the area known as it's called the Uinta. Sorry, I got distracted there for 1 second. Uinta Basin in eastern Utah is an area that such paranormal activity is witnessed on a normal basis. I mean, it's less common to not witness that type of thing than it is to witness it actually, because there's just so much that goes on a normal basis, and it's even earned that area the nickname of UFO Alley. Now, even as far back as 1776, okay, that was long time ago, European explorers described strange fireballs appearing overhead. Now, interestingly, though, not everything that the Shermans claimed to have seen during their time on the ranch was related to UFOs or like extraterrestrials. Some appeared to be from the animal kingdom, but not like the animals that we are accustomed to seeing. How about this wolf-like creature that was spotted, but it was like 3 times the size of a regular wolf? Terry looked out to see something approaching his cattle, and the creature attacked and bit off the head of a cow through the bars of the cattle pen. And when Terry shot it multiple times at point blank range, it had no effect on the animal. It just stood there and stared at him for a while like it was like sizing him up. And then after that, it calmly turned and it walked away, but it left the stench of rotting flesh in the air. Other reports of these creatures have been mentioned also, and some say that the creature walks on all 4 legs like a dog. Others say they've seen them walking on their back 2 legs like a human. But some people have even claimed that they've tracked these creatures through the snow, and at one point the tracks will like turn into from like a paw like track to a human footprint and then just disappear. Well, in 1997, one of the researchers that Mr. Bigelow, that the one that bought it from Mr. Sherman, he brought these researchers, like I was talking about earlier, but anyway, onto the ranch. He claimed to have seen a humanoid type creature, and it was watching the researchers from about 50 yards away, and it was perched in a tree about 20 feet off the ground. Now, he fired a rifle at it, and it disappeared, but it left behind these odd footprints, and it was like oval was the shape of the footprint, and it was about 6 inches in diameter. Now, at the back of that footprint, there was like these 2 sharp claw marks coming out of the back of it, and it made them think of like a bird of prey or even a raptor. But it was so deeply pushed into the snow, it suggested that the creature, whatever it was like very heavy. But where did the name Skinwalkers, or Skinwalker Ranch, come from? Well, several sightings of human-like creatures invoke the name Skinwalker. According to Navajo folklore, Skinwalkers were shape-shifting werewolf-like creatures who could transform themselves into whatever creature they chose to be. The only problem with that theory was that the ranch was 400 miles from the closest Navajo reservation. There have also been strange occurrences on the land that adjoins to the ranch. In 1998, a police officer saw a huge light plunge into, and then let me start that sentence over again. It plunged into and then re-emerged from Bottle Hollow. And Bottle Hollow is a 420-acre man-made reservoir on Ute land that's right next to the ranch. After the light re-emerged from the water, it shot across the sky really fast. Then one night in 2002, 4 young men were standing on the shore of that reservoir, and they saw a blue light that it was like a bluish whitish color that fell into the water. When it came back out of the water, it had taken on a different form, and it was a shimmering belt-shaped shaft of light. It performed an aerial dance, hugged the earth, and then zipped away across the sky, disappearing below the top of Skywalker Ridge. Now, these lights, they do back up the belief by the Utes that springs in some certain other waterways stored negative power, and there were evil spirits or evil sprites that would rise up out of the water and drag you in. Now, the Utes also believe that the Navajo had cursed the land back during the Civil War out of retaliation and for revenge because the Utes allied with a man by the name of Kit Carson, and he was a U.S. Army soldier who had been assigned to run the Navajo off of their lands. And the Navajo eventually surrendered, and they were forced to march to a reservation in Fort Sumner, and the Utes moved on to that land in that basin. Well, after all these strange occurrences kept happening, the Utes, started believing that the Navajo had, cursed that area. Now, in the 1950s, UFO spotting in the area was a somewhat normal thing, and shortly after that, another paranormal activity started, and that was the paranormal activity of cattle mutilation. Many ranchers, including the Shermans, reported their cattle were missing. Some of them would never be found, but many of them were found mutilated, but with nearly surgical precision. Eyes were removed very neatly from sockets. Organs were harvested, and they all had two things in common. The incisions were clean, like they had been made with a really clean blade or a laser, and they all had a chemical smell. In Mr. Sherman's 1996 interview, he pointed out that the mutilations were always after a UFO sighting. And these sightings and mutilations continue on today. So, it didn't just stop in the 50s or the 90s or anything like that. They continue on today. Now, those are not the only notable paranormal occurrences at that ranch. A lot more has happened there and in the surrounding areas. Now, there's a lot of documentaries out there about the Skinwalker Ranch. I know for a fact there's at least one on Amazon Prime. If you have that, just type in Skinwalker Ranch and you'll find it. There's other documentaries. There's lots of books, web articles, you name it, it's out there. So I invite you to do your own research. See what you can learn about the Skinwalker Ranch. Well, that's all I have for today's Midweek Mini. Now, don't forget to come back on Saturday morning for the Weekend Weird Files. Y'all have a good rest of the week.